Well, hello everyone, I'm Postmaster Radio and it's time to bring on the funny. You're listening to Ujokes Weekly, the official podcast highlighting Jonathan Mangum's fantastically funny virtual comedy show, Ujokes, where comedians compete for the best joke, plus you guys and gals playing along, you too can have the last laugh. It's literally comedy gold at your fingertips. Now, this week's Ujoke show was slightly delayed because of Jonathan's guest appearance as part of Wayne Brady's Blue Hawaii gig, but we still got a great Ujoke show last night. That's going to be in the spotlight for today's podcast. Today, I'm counting down my top 5 jokes from Ujokes episode 80 with returning player Tatiana Godfrey. You might not remember her because she was in an earlier Ujoke show, but it was the one with the technical glitches, or as most people in the Ujokes fandom know it as, the beautiful disaster. So Tatiana's in that corner, and in the other, Ron Lynch. Details coming up, but first, if you missed last week's Ujokes show with Anne Gregory and Chris Calagero, featuring Wayne Brady crashing the show in the second half, speaking of him, catch up now via the podcast link in the description. Also, to continuing listeners, thanks for coming back to the Ujokes podcast. And for the first-time listeners, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Ujokes Weekly. And please leave those ratings and reviews if you happen to be listening from either Podchaser or the Apple Podcast platform, if it's not too much trouble. And with that being said, well, time to get the podcast going. You know how we do it here. Ujokes Top 5 Countdown coming up now. Stay tuned for additional highlights to come in the Ujokes Awards. But now, without further ado, on with the countdown. At spot number 5, we go to a game called What's It Mean? For the made-up, non-existent word, umtregel, you have to come up with a definition, and feel free to use it in a sentence if it so pleases you. And for the joke that gets the countdown going, shout out to Brandon K from the YouTube chat, the Swedish version of Fraggle Rock. Not the winning joke, unfortunately, for that game of Ujokes, but in my opinion, a pretty funny joke nonetheless. And you know what? The YouTube chat still killing it. Yes, at spot number 4 on the countdown, another funny joke from Team Audience. Courtney Perks again on the YouTube chat, this time for a game called Caption This, based on this week's pick of what appears to be a guy having a very, very unusual low-key birthday party with 2 poodles. I don't know if they're his or not, but whatever. Point being, you need to come up with the caption for the crazy pick. Courtney Perks sure did, and she captioned it like this: just me and my 2 biatches. Well done, Courtney Perks. And now, let's move on to the comedians. My third favorite joke of the night, actually it goes back to the game What's It Mean? And the spotlight, it's on Tatiana Godfrey.
You know those carnival rides where it spins round and round and you're like standing against the wall and it spins faster and faster and then like the bottom drops out and you're pressed against the wall? That's umtregel force.
That is so specific. I love it.
Although neither Tatiana nor Team Audience won that Ujokes minigame What's It Mean, the winning joke went to Ron Lynch, and though I may not have enjoyed his joke from What's It Mean, I did like his joke from another game that came soon after at spot number 2 on the Ujokes countdown, Pod Craps. Now, I myself do a podcast, well, multiple podcast shows actually, so naturally I would like this game, based on the pick, which in actuality, it's from the cover of an Animorphs book, but based on that picture, you'd have to come up with the podcast title. And you know something, Ron Lynch, this joke of his was puntastic, so much so that it allowed him to win the Pod Craps game. No joke.
This is, of course, the Menopausecast. The Menopausecast.
I mean, I personally didn't get menopause vibes, but what do I know? I'm not a professional comedian. Anyway, congratulations to Ron Lynch. And finally, even though this joke from Team Audience was not ultimately the winning joke from this next Ujokes minigame, I feel like she was robbed of a win, but maybe that's because she's been on the show, even filling in for a Ujokes comedian who at the last minute couldn't make it, Amy Khan, the one and only from Team Audience, and this was honestly my favorite joke of the night. And I can't say it enough, Amy was robbed of this joke that she had from the game DJ Who, based on the pic shown of a crazy man eating pizza and drinking in the bathtub. Amy Khan had to come up with the DJ name. This was another funny one, Frat Boy Slim. Yeah, seriously, I can't say it enough. I feel like Amy was robbed with that Ujokes game, and I am not the only one who thinks so, because I saw a couple of other people on the YouTube chat being like, Amy should have won that one, and I'm not playing, y'all. But then again, who knows, maybe the audience was swayed to Tatiana, who did actually get the win for that game, but oh well, what can you do? Anyway, great joke from Amy Khan. That's it for the top 5 countdown. Now we go on to the Ujokes Awards. First award, Comedian of the Week. And even though most of you from Team Audience kind of dominated the entire Ujokes countdown, well, almost anyway, we at least got one joke in from Tatiana and Ron, so that still made it even competition. Plus, overall, both comedians were great last night. But if I had to pick just one, though my sympathies do go to Tatiana Godfrey for the fact that the first Ujoke show that she was on, well, I said it already at the beginning of the podcast, but you know, that beautiful disaster, Ujokes episode 64. My sympathies do go to her in that case, but I did like Menopause cast just a smidge better. So, Comedian of the Week, Ron Lynch. And for Game of the Week, well, just because this game made it onto today's Ujokes countdown not once, but twice, I'm gonna give it to What's It Mean for the word umtreggle. Plus, it's such a funny word, umtreggle. For the Audience Award, this goes to that person as part of the Ujokes audience that had the best joke, which, you know what I'm gonna say, but I'll say it anyway. DJ Frat Boy Slim, going back to Amy Khan, well done, you have won the Audience Award today. And finally, I can't not have an award named for the one and only Ujokes host, Jonathan Mangum. It's time for Mangum Moment. You know, this is going to go to a joke he had for that Podcraps game. Yes, I know, Jonathan is the host, so he can't compete. That should change really for one of the Ujokes shows someday. I think that would be really cool. But anyway, Mr. Mangum's joke being a little bit similar to Ron Lynch, a self-help podcast, Menstruation Hibernation. And I gotta say, that was a pretty good joke, because remember when I mentioned the Animorphs book cover photo? That was of a girl morphing into a bear, so I forgot to mention that earlier, but I guess you got the gist. Point being, great joke from Jonathan Mangum, and that's it for Mangum Moment, and by extension, the Ujokes Awards. And I gotta say, time has flown by a little faster than I thought with today's episode of Ujokes Weekly, but we're not done yet. A couple of final announcements that I need to make. First of all, a new episode of Jonathan's High Joke Score, where jokes equal cash, will be coming your way this Friday on the Ujokes YouTube channel. Oh, and the Ujokes sister show, FMK Champs, which is also on the Ujokes YouTube channel, hosted by College Humor's Carolyn Page. That show is on a temporary hiatus and is expected to return on July 7th, so stay tuned. Plus, in addition to the Ujokes website, created by fanatic Craig in the UK, which you can check out if you'd like, that's ujokes.com, more Ujokes fun on the way. As I mentioned, this week's Ujokes show was postponed to Tuesday, the 22nd, because, well, again, Jonathan's appearance in Wayne Brady's Blue Hawaii gig. But next week, Ujokes will be back to its Monday night time slot on Monday, June 28th, usual time, of course, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 Eastern. In the meantime, forget to watch last night's Ujokes show, or maybe you were playing live, but you didn't submit a joke for a couple of the games, or you thought, oh man, I should have submitted this joke instead. Still type your joke in the YouTube comment section, plus take part in any mini Ujokes challenges that might pop up on Jonathan's Facebook page or the community page of the Ujokes YouTube channel. Jonathan and his producer Josh will go back and look through all of the jokes. And whoever had the best joke, either from last night's show or the Ujokes mini challenges, will be invited to compete on June 28th's episode. They'll make a virtual appearance and compete in the final round against the pros and Team Audience. Pretty cool, huh? So get on that ASAP. And with that being said, that is ultimately it for this week's Ujokes podcast. Be sure to stay connected with me on Twitter and Instagram at Postmaster Radio. Plus like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review to stay connected with me on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. The account links are all in the description. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, well, bye for now. See ya!